You had sent this to me. Conor McGregor says he agrees to fight Logan Paul in India in a boxing match, not a wrestling match, a boxing match. This was, they were talking about this. I will not play the sound, but they were talking about this on one of these ESPN shows here. This comes to us from ESPN. That's Stephen A. Smith, and I believe that was Shannon Sharp over there. You can see them both on the screen there talking. What say you about this Conor McGregor Logan Paul news?
Another Paul boxing match against kind of a washed up fighter. Conor McGregor is not even a boxer, which is interesting, but he is a big draw for sure. I wonder what people's appetite for this stuff will be after the Tyson Jake Paul thing, because that was not reviewed well.
Yeah.
Or do people just keep watching because it's a big freak show? And, you can't argue with the results. Like, people continue to tune in to these Paul boxing match freak shows. And will it be like one promo where they want to, Conor says something mean, then Logan Paul does this, and it's kind of a worked shoot, these boxing matches, right? Like,
I don't watch them enough to know. I've heard for a long time that for decades and decades that boxing had a seedy underbelly to it, and things were perhaps fixed here and there. I don't know, and I don't know enough about boxing to know what to look for if I watch a boxing match and say, oh, that's obviously a guy pulling his punches, or, these are guys going easy on each other. If you do it legitimately, it's a difficult sport. It
oh yeah, for
takes
sure.
your breath away because it's constant movement. There's no even like little bitty pauses you can do for a split second. It's constant movement. It's strength, it's agility, it's being able to absorb impact. It's a fantastic test of athleticism when it's done completely on the up and up.
For sure. And, they are two big names. Well, McGregor is a huge name in the fight game, basically for his UFC run. And I think, you're still going to have people that want to watch it. Interesting that it's in India. I wonder if they India just is trying to pull the Saudi Arabia thing where they're trying to have big fights. I don't know, or big sporting events. That's
boxing has a history with that, though. Boxing, more than any sport, takes its global aspect seriously and has for decades. I mean, the Rumble in the Jungle. I mean, Muhammad Ali famously fighting people all around the world for the big matches.
And at the end of the day, you talk about a guy like Logan Paul and Conor McGregor. They're the head of our lead of a pro wrestling show, and for good reason. Like, it's going to get clicks. It's going to have people paying attention. So give the devil his due with Logan Paul. Like, he's probably going to have a lot of people watch this.
So is Conor McGregor. McGregor's a huge draw, and one of the reasons why they're trying to get him back into a UFC ring is because he alone is a draw. I know people who, if Conor McGregor's involved in something, they buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah. He's way over.
And he did box once. McGregor has appeared in a professional boxing bout only once, a 2017 fight against Floyd Mayweather, which ended in a 10th round TKO defeat. That was impressive because Mayweather's a real boxer. Yeah. And McGregor lasted 10 rounds with him. Did not win the match, but that was a really good showing athletically for McGregor. So like you were saying, I wonder how this goes because neither one of these guys are known primarily as boxers.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. India, that you bring up India, that is an interesting place to hold it. Why not Japan?
I don't know.
Can you go to Japan?
Oh, you got it. You got me. Oh man. He can't do it in Japan. Dave Meltzer would give it 7 stars if it was in Japan, though. It would be all over Dave Meltzer's radar if it was in Japan.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think Logan Paul's allowed in Japan. You're right.
Can you go to Japan? I can go to Japan. Of course I could go to Japan. I love those people. It's like a video game.
It's like a video game.
So Conor McGregor and Logan Paul. Meanwhile, Logan Paul doing his wrestling stuff. WWE's X account. Logan Paul doing a promo for WWE's Raw on Netflix debut, where Logan Paul knows you'll be watching. He says he's now going to be on Raw after telling us he retired because he's a father now. Now he's saying he's a bully and the WWE is his playground. He's the bully on the playground. What do you think of Logan Paul suddenly coming out of retirement for Raw's debut on Netflix?
It was a pretty good promo.
Okay.
I have to say, he had a good promo. He executed it well, and there are times when he's just not been bad on the mic.
Yep.
And real corny on the mic, but this was not one of them. I thought this was one of his better promos, which is to say he was okay, but one of his better promos.
Yeah, and we've got people here in the comments saying people love to hate him, which is true. I like from Fog Jones there of Pro Wrestling Nexus. We've got another one though that I really like down here below the ad. I actually deleted my Netflix account when I saw this.
That's great.
Ryan Batista, you win the internet today.
I'm done.
There you go. I love that one. I actually deleted my Netflix account when I saw this. So, hey, Logan Paul, like they say, people love to hate him. Speaking of another guy people love to hate, how about Tony Khan here in Variety? Dealmakers 2024 edition of Variety. Tony Khan, one of the featured deal makers of the year. And they're talking about his ability in entertainment that, while Vince McMahon is, and Vince McMahon's long dominated WWE, now post Vince McMahon, is doing great stuff with Netflix and with USA and with Peacock. They're making news here that AEW, they're not doing too shabby themselves. $185 million deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. More premium events. Broadcasting not only on TBS and TNT, but also Max streaming service. The company is now valued at more than $2 billion, making it the third most valuable combat sports company in the world, probably after UFC and WWE, who are actually under the same umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So this is people giving Tony Khan his due as a businessman. John, you watch AEW, and you've long been talking about the fact that you like the product in the ring and on TV and on pay-per-views and in the arenas. You've been to some of their live shows in person. But they're getting a lot of crap from people, especially in new media, for like losing money and just giving away too many big contracts and not being a well-run business. What say you about a non-wrestling mainstreamish publication like Variety recognizing Tony Khan and AEW for the business side and the accomplishments they've had in 2024?
It tells you a little bit about the landscape of the internet wrestling community, like not really missing the big picture oftentimes with AEW and always hyper focusing on like little aspects of like what they're doing wrong with the storyline. And here they are, a company that was founded 5 years ago that is worth $2 billion. Mm-hmm. They're getting $185 million a year for their TV contract. That's huge. That's a large sum of money, and not really understanding, oh, well, they were taking the loss and they weren't profitable. It's like, that's not the modern way to run companies. They don't necessarily care about profit. They want to get to that point where they have that big valuation. So I think it's just the internet wrestling community misunderstanding how businesses are run and claiming that they would know how to run the business is always a riot. I mean, it ain't like this line says, it ain't bragging if it's true. Like,
There's that
totally
quote from
is.
Tony Khan. Yeah, if you wanted to read it or me, I've got it highlighted here. Our
Go
new
for it.
arrangement signifies that AEW will make history as the first professional wrestling promotion to simulcast events weekly on top cable channels and a top streaming platform. So they're kind of one-upping the Peacock deal that WWE has, where they're going to do quarterly Saturday night main events.
Mhm.
AEW plans to do this weekly, where it's not only on top cable channels, but it's also on a top streaming platform.
Yeah.
So they're not stopping. They're doing what they can to not only make a like Tony Khan wants to be profitable. He wants the company to be profitable, and it may be on its way to doing so. And he's trying to reach more fans in a greater variety of ways.
It's got to be more profitable because he was like 30 some million. That was the old TV contract. Now it's 185.
Mm-hmm.
I know it like about 5x'd roughly for how
Yeah.
much in revenue they were getting from the TV contract. And that's the biggest win for him. And I think a lot of people already assumed the company was just going to go the way of TNA without realizing what he kind of envisioned and was able to convince, Warner Brothers to give him. So kudos to Tony Khan. I think he's getting way too much crap on the internet these days, but
there you
that's
go.
just me talking.
And let's be a little fair with the math here. The $5 billion Netflix deal is not for 1 year. It's not like they're paying him $5 billion for 1 year.
Mhm.
It's spread out. Was it a 10-year deal?
Yeah.
So $5 billion over 10 years. The AEW contract here, if it ran for 10 years, would be almost $2 billion.
It's comparable, right? I mean, it's less, but it's not too. It's about half of it.
It's not an order of magnitude bigger. It's like within sight.
Yeah, for sure. It could be double or triple, but it's still right there where they're making a large amount of revenue from that TV contract. And hey, they're not doing so great with TV with attendance, but as long as they're kind of getting to a point where they're breaking even with attendance, even losing money, the TV contract or now the streaming contract will keep them afloat.
Mm-hmm. Eric Bischoff said that when he started executive producing or being a VP down at WCW, that one of their problems was they were doing so many house shows, they were losing money. So he trimmed down the house shows and made it more efficient there and focused on TV. And that's how they rebounded as a business. They found an area of their revenue that was soft.
Yeah. And then we have a chat here.
I don't care as long as I get save on his 10-match pay-per-views. There you go. That's a great deal for the hardcore fans as well, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Like if you're getting a better deal for the pay-per-views and maybe better streaming quality, then that's a bonus to the longtime fans who've stuck with them.
I will admit, though, for sure, Nick, the pay-per-views are too long. On Max, Hulu, or some other stream, so I don't have to pay $55 to fall asleep for the one opportunity I get to watch it.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, we went through that the 2 times we did recaps on Don't Bury the Lead of AEW.
Oh, we did it that night, and it was like 2 a.m. I'm like delusional doing the recaps because they're so late. That's a great thing that WWE's done. They've made their shows very watchable length. You almost want more at the end of the pay-per-views, and you're like,
yes,
we hit the recap.
And you wind up getting more because stuff happens afterwards that people only get on their phone cameras in the ring or whatever in the arena.
And I desperately steal that content and re-upload it.
Yes, and we thank everybody who allows us to use their footage. So
I do ask to use the footage, which like nobody does. I do ask, but cool. That's a good segment here.
Speaking of AEW and contracts, Matt Cardona apparently had been offered an AEW contract, but his status is uncertain. Did he get hurt? And I know I've asked before. I'm wondering if there was reports that he got injured in his match against Chris Jericho, because they were playing that up for a while, and that maybe if that match went off well, that Matt Cardona would be in line for a pretty decent run in AEW. I hope they're still thinking of doing it. Matt Cardona's been sort of the king of the indies for a few years now, after leaving his Matt Striker gimmick in WWE. Would you want to see more Matt Cardona if he's healthy? Although he's had a few freak injuries recently, which is unfortunate for him. Would you want to see a healthy Matt Cardona in AEW?
Yeah, he's the king of the indies. And I think it's one of those guys that would really help out either WWE or AEW. If he went back to either one of them, I think he's over enough, and he's probably the biggest indie act I can think of, the biggest indie guy I can think of that isn't signed to a major company. But it's cool that he's doing his thing in the indies too.
It was noted that on AEWshop.com was selling a Matt Cardona t-shirt. So that's got to be something. I hope Matt Cardona's getting a cut of that.
Yeah. We have another comment here from Nick. I'm going to step away down.
There you go. Go to WWE, be a henchman for Kevin Owens in this storyline. Oh, what a good idea that is. They're both kind of that brawling wrestler as well. Like Cardona had a reputation on the indies for, I think, doing some of that hardcore stuff as well. Yeah, he could be that guy. And he'd be great on SmackDown. We talked about the WWE trying to get couples onto the same show, doing that with Naomi and Jimmy Uso, now with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, Andrade and Charlotte Flair whenever Charlotte Flair is ready to come back. But Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green could be back in WWE together. Who knows? That could be very interesting. Dave Meltzer was reporting he did not know whether Cardona had signed, but he thought he had been offered a contract there. He had a brief run in AEW in 2020, made a one-off return earlier this year for an episode of Collision facing Adam Copeland, the former Edge. So a couple of former nostalgia WWE guys there, Edge and Matt Striker, got together for a one-off in AEW. I think, yeah, if Matt Cardona can be of value to AEW, yeah, bring him back over. I think that would be fantastic. Speaking of Matt Cardona, we brought up Chelsea Green saying she's going to Disneyland. Matt Cardona tweets out, "It's official. I'm one half of the WWE Women's United States Champion." He and Chelsea Green made it to Disneyland as they had said they would.
This is fantastic.
There they are having a blast. And of course, it's Matt Cardona holding up the Women's United States Championship belt. So he really is basking in the glow there. Good for them. People giving it to him. I knew you could do it. You know, I knew you could be the greatest second-tier women's champion in WWE, Matt. So good stuff. Love this tradition of them going to Disneyland. I hope Chris Jericho doesn't want that title. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, there they are. Everybody's having some fun with this stuff. Apparently, had Matt Striker been a WWE U.S. champion himself at one point? Is that what they're alluding to in this mini little GIF here?
Maybe. I know he was an IC title, but I don't know if he was a U.S. champ. But it sounds. I know he was a mid-card champ at one point.
There we go. You two are stinking adorable. Yes, they are. They're stinking adorable, and wherever Matt Cardona goes next, we wish him the
I love
best.
he's holding the belt.
Yes, it's absolutely.
That's yeah. And you know, I think anybody that is outside of the WWE world wouldn't know who they were. They just like, who's this guy with this belt? You know, they're not like big stars, but they're acting like they're big stars, and they just won the Super Bowl.
Of course,
Chelsea Green won. Although it was a big win for Chelsea Green. I mean, I do have to give her credit.
Big win for Chelsea Green. And we won't even save it for the Italian goodbye. The first time they did the I'm going to Disney World Super Bowl winner commercial.
Was that the Giants?
New York Giants, Phil Simms. You got it.
Look at that.
That is way back. That's the way back machine there. And they just got real lucky with it because Simms was named the MVP of that Super Bowl. I think it was over the Broncos. I think they had it set up where whichever winning quarterback won the MVP, they were told to do that. And as they were walking off the field, they got a few takes with Phil Simms and used the best one for the commercial. Yeah, nice. And now it's just become part of pop culture, right? Super Bowl winner, I'm going to Disney World. Hey, women's inaugural United States champion, I'm going to Disneyland. There it is. Perfect stuff. More women's wrestling. Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa apparently doing a belt versus belt at Wrestle Dynasty. NJPW Strong Champion Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa. I'm not sure what belt she holds, but they did a lot of promos together. Here at what is this? This is this wasn't an NJPW event where they both appeared. Great to see AEW doing the cross promoting here and letting Mercedes Moné do this. But what say you about women's wrestling getting a big profile interpromotionally, intercontinentally? Yeah,
they're trying to get it established.
Do you know much about Mina Shirakawa? I know you know about Mercedes Moné. Do you know much about Mina Shirakawa?
So they I don't know anything. I'm not sure if Mina Shirakawa so I know this with I know this as far as oh no, I do know her. I saw her in AEW.
Okay.
No, I've seen her actually wrestle in real life at AEW Collision. So, and she got a pretty big pop actually. So I do know her. I've seen her wrestle. And then I think in New Japan, what they're doing is they're trying to get more people or they're trying to get women's wrestling going. They've never done women's wrestling really in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They had like their own individual companies that would run women's wrestling. And the women's wrestling was a little bit more like, you know, it was more not necessarily just wrestling, I don't think.
Okay.
So,
and a lot of their big stars had to go elsewhere. Asuka, Io Sky.
Yes.
They had to go elsewhere.
Yeah, Asuka, Io Sky. Yeah, a lot of the women can work too. Like the ones that got poached and went to WWE are awesome. Like Asuka was when Asuka came in, she was the best women's wrestler on the roster. I'd say now the women's division has improved so much in the WWE that she's like one of like 10 that are really good, you know? So, and I think it's cool that Mercedes Moné continues to go between AEW and New Japan to just keep her hot in both places.
Yeah, she's had a good run in AEW. You're not tired of her. She's not stale yet. And any concerns?
Some people, there are some people that have said that don't like her, and I think they don't. And I can't even really figure out the reason why. They said they don't like her promos, but her promos aren't that long. She's great in the ring, so because she's great in the ring, I think that's what you really want her to deliver on, and she has.
Sure.
I think people just like to complain about AEW. It's very in vogue. It's very in. So like whatever AEW does, it's like, oh, that's bad. You know?
People also like to complain about Tessa Blanchard. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Lance Storm reveals the backstage reaction to Tessa Blanchard's TNA return. She returned at Final Resolution, and Lance Storm has been there for a while. Said that, I've always liked Tessa. I first met her back at NWA convention in Charlotte. I've known her for a long time, worked with her briefly in her last and my first TNA run. I do think that at some point people deserve second chances. She apparently had a lot of real heat with not so much the boys, but with the girls backstage for how she treated some of the other women wrestlers.
It's
Whether
kind of
she,
hilarious how it all came out. She tweets, hey, we're women. We need to all work together, something to that extent.
Mhm.
And then when she tweets this, everyone just starts tweeting under her all this crap that she had done to them in the past. Like, oh, is that when you like slapped me and called me this word? And
Yeah,
it was
right.
like, oh boy, you said that word to, and I'm not going to even allude to what the word is, to this girl, and you slapped her. And she's like, other people are like, I saw it happen. And then other people are like, you bullied me, blah, 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 blah. Like, you were so horrible. And like, the list of people trashing her online was amazing because the original tweet was, hey, like, let's all get along. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, we're not
No,
going to get along.
not with
Not
you.
with you. So she has apparently been really unpopular. From my perspective, I have only really seen her wrestle once, but I thought she was the real deal. So, and she's so big, like, and like she's strong. I don't know. She seemed like a strong fighter. She's just like her old man,
Daughter of
Tully.
Tully Blanchard. There you go.
Yeah.
She's daughter of one of the horsemen. There you go. When asked how the locker room reacted to her return, Storm said he only saw positive responses and interactions backstage. It's wrestling. Everyone is going to react professionally. If you were against it, you would probably avoid her. I only saw positive responses and interaction. Most people don't want to make a scene, so if there were people who weren't happy about it, they kept quiet. All I saw was positive reaction. So that's an interesting wrinkle there that, of course the people who are real pros are going to give her a chance. But you wonder if there's some festering resentment from people who are just avoiding the subject for a while, and what happens if, at some point they have to work together and somebody's like, I don't want to work with her.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
the thing is, she's a good worker, and in addition to that, she's like a 10 out of 10 look. She's like, I don't want to say she's like Jade. She's different than Jade, but she's jacked.
okay.
So a lot of people were comparing her to China, actually, a
Oh,
little bit. Yeah. So this is, yeah, that's the only photo we have of her.
just from like the chest up, you could see a little bit of the arms as they're outstretched. So she definitely looks like she's in shape.
Yeah. No, she's in pretty good shape. So she like, it looks like she'd kick the crap out of you. And when she was wrestling in TNA, she was the champ. She was the intergender champ. So she was beating the guys.
Oh, wow, intergender champ. Oh, I forgotten the TNA tried doing that.
Yeah, they tried to have her. She was the first woman to ever win the men's belt, and then
Okay.
they were gonna make her the real deal. And then eventually she went to Mexico and said, "I don't want to come back to the company." And they're like, "Give us the belt back," and she threw the belt in the trash, something like that, something to that
Oh,
extent. So yeah,
so much for the intergender belt. Somewhere Andy Kaufman is smiling.
right.
By the way, all the way back in the Don't Bury the Lead archives, we've got an Andy Kaufman short video clip that you put together a long time ago. That was before we got a ton of subscribers. So that one, like that's one of our hidden gems from way back when we just didn't have a lot of people watching our channel. That may be a good one to search for, or maybe to repost again.
That Andy Kaufman video that we made
Mhm.
was our first ever wrestling video that got over 100 views. And I was
See,
like,
there you go.
and I was like, yes, it's over 100. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And now it's like, that's we're at 500,000 views, right?
Yeah, and
But
if you put out an edited clip and it doesn't get like 500, you're like, "Oh, the algorithms are burying us.
yes, I know. That's exactly how I feel.
We're shadow banned."
We did the Rock one didn't go over so well. The Rock's Mount Rushmore.
one.
Yeah, so I'm just I'm probably gonna just and if you're watching this now, go watch that Rock one. I need some views.
There you go.
I think I'm going to just use it for a bunch of shorts. I think that'll get over and get us some subscribers. But that was just like a good example. If it doesn't get over 100 now, it's seen as like a total flop. When as before, when we got 100, it was like, wow, this is our best video of the year.
This is the greatest thing we've ever done. We're famous.
We're
We're-
famous.
We're minor celebrities.
Mhm.
We're gonna need to wear disguises when we go places now to keep the paparazzi away. So very good there, Tessa Blanchard. If people will be professional and work with her, she is a great professional wrestler. So good for her.
Mhm.
Speaking of professional wrestlers, maybe doing something a little different. Becky Lynch, this comes to us from comingsoon.net. She has a recurring role in a new Star Trek series, Starfleet Academy. This apparently is going to be on Paramount Plus. She is signed up to star in, she will be part of the bridge crew for I'm so excited to share with all of you. I'm joining Star Trek Starfleet Academy as part of the bridge crew. Looks like while no premiere date has been set for Star Trek Starfleet Academy, it was previously announced the series has been renewed for season 2. They have some past stars from other Star Trek series who are also there as recurring guest stars. Might this explain why Becky Lynch has been slow to get back into a full-time WWE schedule? Maybe she's got other stuff going on besides being a parent. She's the mom of a little girl. Besides that, maybe she has other stuff to keep her occupied professionally. What say you? What do you know about the Star Trek Starfleet Academy series and/or other properties in the Star Trek umbrella there?
I don't know anything, but if she is able to get cast, and good for her, it'll only make her pop better when she comes back, because they're going to be people that know her from the show, right? And then in addition to that, it's probably a lot easier to be with your daughter and you're on that show rather than be on the road, because that's really
Right.
brutal, being on the road. So if she just has her daughter and she is like a daycare and hopefully like some help at home too,
Sure.
and she could just stay somewhere for 2 months or something like that, 2-3 months, and shoot, get paid a lot of money, probably hopefully like equal to what she's making in WWE, and she just has the kid there with her. It's probably going to
You
be
could
easier.
bring her daughter with her when she's shooting, because it's like you said, it's one location.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mean to spoil the fun for anybody, but the Star Trek, they film in one location. They don't actually have to go to each individual planet and galaxy in order to film that scene. They stay in one place. It's just in a big old sound studio somewhere in Hollywood, just like the moon landing. They don't have to go anywhere. It's just there.
Tom, I saw one person dropped off. You must have really hurt their feelings.
Oh no!
You spoiled the secret.
It's like, no!
No. Oh, I thought they went to Mars.
And so near Christmas, he's probably going to spoil Santa Claus for me now as well.
Well, we all know he's real, so let's not get crazy.
One more here. Idris Elba kicks off CBeebies Bedtime Stories Star-Studded Festive Week. This is from the BBC. You should be so lucky to have a Christmas Day bedtime story read from famous stars over on the BBC if you're joining us from the UK or have access to that channel. I, of course, pulled out this story not for Idris Elba, but for the person way down here at the bottom. Cody Rhodes will be reading a bedtime story to British children.
Wow.
I believe it's going to be around New Year's Day, perhaps. But this is interesting. Cody Rhodes, he's everywhere.
He really is everywhere. Is there a bunch of big stars that do this, and then they included Cody Rhodes?
He is a big star too.
Yeah.
That's what this means. He is a big star too. Welcoming in the new year on Wednesday, the 1st of January, undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes reads Gigantic by Rob Biddulph about a very small and determined blue whale. There you go. I wonder if he has entrance music for his reading of the bedtime story.
You know, this really shows you just how little I know about the pop world and in general. I'm looking at these names. I don't know who any of these people are.
I don't know who they are either. I know even less than you do.
I'm like, who's James Norton? I feel like I've heard that name, but I'd have to see him. Or Lou Carter and Deborah Allwright.
I don't know who they are either. I've barely heard of Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Justin Fletcher, comedian Mo Gilligan. These may be people who are more famous in Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, also saying, you know, it's another continent, another country, another culture. Who knows? Pop superstar Kylie counts down Aussie style with the Australian 12 Days of Christmas by Michael Salmon.
Yeah, this is kind of a low list. These aren't really huge stars because Kylie is a person that made a single when I was in high school, and that's her big hit. And I am a 39-year-old man, so that single must have been out, I don't know, 22 years ago. So 23
it must
years
be
ago.
a fantastic song because 22 years later, she will read a bedtime story to spoiled, rotten British children who are I don't know if they're spoiled rotten, but you know, it just seems to me that if you're getting your bedtime story read to you by someone on TV,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. But there he is, maybe the biggest star of all, Cody Rhodes, for the BBC CBBS bedtime story.
Well, you got Sir Elton John, Chris Hemsworth, Dolly Parton. Those are big stars.
Those are big stars.
Harry Styles.
Digital library of over 300 archived episodes of whatever it is that they do under the CBB brand. Yes, includes a lot of big stars. Again, I will say it, none bigger than Cody Rhodes.
None bigger. I love it. I love
mean,
it. We're putting Cody over.
There you go. You know, it's a Sir Elton John. I mean, sure, he's been knighted. But like there's a lot of people who've been knighted. There's only one undisputed Universal WWE champion at the moment. It's Cody Rhodes.
And guess what? Elton John, you're done your tour. He retired. So guess what?
Retired.
Move on over. It's Cody's show.
You've retired. You just move along like Logan Paul.
Or is he retired like Rey Mysterio?
Or is he, retired like Rey Mysterio? Or just, keep touring even though you're retired. Yes. Very good stuff. That's all I got. I just put a bunch of blank tabs up there because I was furiously clicking the mouse. But yeah, I figured we'd end on a cheap heat on a bedtime story. It is pathologically frugal. It is unseasonably warm. John, what is it?
It's cheap heat.